Welcome, everyone. This is the ninth session of the New Earth Visioning Project. And tonight is going to be really fun. What we're doing is we're going to introduce you guys to a lot of what we call points of light. And these are people, individuals, organizations that are working to create a better world, a more enlightened world, a more loving world. And they're doing this through innovation, through community, through inventions, and so much more. In fact, we're going to show you guys so much light that those of us who are in the know here are wearing sunglasses. So let's get started with the fun. First off, Mary Histine. Welcome.
Awesome, thank you. I have a pretty short list, but I think we all have so much to say, so that's probably a good thing. The first point of light is very simple. There's a group that I found on Facebook, and not everybody's into Facebook, but it's a great place to find groups. It's called Holistic Nova Facebook group. It's a place where just ordinary people who want to find holistic solutions to health issues can share information. And there's 5,000 members, I think, at least, if not more. And it's just a great place. You can put a question on there, and it's like a crowdsourcing thing. A lot of people will say, have you tried this? Have you tried that? Or so it's just a great place. So that's a good place to share information. And of course, the disclaimer: nobody, if people there are not necessarily doctors, but there's ordinary folks who've tried, home remedies and have worked for things. Another point of light, which is very exciting, is something that Mike shared with me, is called the Encore program. And it's a program designed for people over 50 years old to change their traditional careers to something meaningful to them, coming up with creative programs to help their communities, especially younger generations. And the ventures have opportunities to be funded through various sources. Would you like to comment on that more, Mike?
Yeah, so there's a number of sponsors, and I was hoping to share the website, which really provides a lot more information. But there, God, I hope I didn't just lose it. Oh, there it is. Mm-hmm. So there,
While you're looking for it, Mike, let me just say to everyone that tonight I will be sending to everybody the links, the titles of everything, the links to get there. So you don't really need to make a lot of notes, because we're going to send you the explanations and the links to find more information on everyone we talk about. Okay?
Yeah, so I found it. So, I mean, basically it says the supply after leaving their midlife careers, 30 million Americans between 44 and 70 want to transition into work that combines personal meaning, social impact, and continued income. And what it really is trying to do is to have people that are in, transitioning into making an impact into the younger generation. And there's, they have people that have started to do initiatives. They have these funding programs where you can, there's a lot of people that have donated to Encore, that they provide grants to people who have started initiatives, but really are kind of at a critical point where they really need a lot of funding. And there's an annual contest, and they'll give away $60,000-$70,000 to an organization to help them continue what they're doing to help to help the younger to help a younger generation and whatever that venture is.
Cool, thank you. And then there's another organization that Mike brought to my attention, which he discovered from Sounds True, from Tammy Simon. She had highlighted this in one of her newsletters. It's called Ivy Child International, It's a multicultural nonprofit devoted to universal mindfulness education. And they have programs all over the world. And
their goal is they're bringing mindfulness practices into schools for children at a young age, and they're starting to develop and wanting to integrate it into the school systems to have this what they call the mindfulness multiplier effect, throughout helping the children not only learn but help them self-manage their stress or any issues that they have, and boost productivity and focus and attention. So that's just another internet, and they have, like I said, programs that are growing all the time.
Thank you. And then the next one is called Greater Good Magazine. It's a free email magazine that you could subscribe to that turns scientific research into stories, tips, and tools for a happier life and a more compassionate society.
And that's founded out of Berkeley University, and they actually have a great newsletter that they have, and they publish all kinds of helpful tools, and for mental health and mindfulness, and they have a really cool thing that will sync with your calendar that provides like a affirmation, post an affirmation on your calendar for every day and things like that. But it's just got a ton of resources on it. It's a newsletter that comes out once a month. Mm-hmm. Again, it's out of Berkeley.
Cool. And the last one that I had on my list is something that we just experienced this weekend together. It's called Sacred Roots Herb Sanctuary. It's located outside of Shepherdstown, West Virginia. And their mission statement is to work in collaboration with the living world around us while providing the highest quality herbs. The herbs are certified naturally grown, which means that they lovingly cultivate vibrant healing herbs without the use of herbicides or pesticides. They mindfully wildcraft from the land there and grow at-risk herbs that are in danger of disappearing due to over-harvesting. And then they also offer classes to empower and inspire people to reclaim the power to heal yourself and your community. And we actually went camping there. They have a few campsites carved out, and they also have like a tiny house and a tree house and places that you can rent to stay on the grounds. And it really is a sacred place.
There's actually something else I want to add. It's called Era of Peace, and it's a site. The lady's name Patricia Cota Robalis. She has this annual World of Congress of Illumination. She does weekly videos on YouTube, which are extremely enlightening. And their organization is trying to get collectively, globally, kind of raising consciousness and also group meditations, across the globe.
Wonderful. Okay, so I know time is short, so I'm going to say thank you for having us. We're going to toss it to Bob. He's our next presenter.
Hello, everyone. I just have to say this has been one of the most fun adventures I've had. And the ones that I've chosen to speak about this evening are just a sample. I have a list that's much longer than this that I'll get to at some point. The first one I'd like to introduce is Suzanne Giesemann. Suzanne is an author and a spiritual teacher and an evidence-based medium. Of course, she didn't start out this way. She started as a career service person in the Navy, and ended up doing such a good job that she was assigned as a special assistant to the chief of naval operations, and also served a tour as an aide to the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. If you've been in the military at all, you know that life is not so easy for women in the military. And the fact that she attained these positions is just phenomenal in itself. But then, after she retired, an event in the family's life took a turn that changed her life dramatically and focused her on mediumship. What happened was her daughter, actually, her daughter-in-law who was pregnant at the time, was working on the flight line and was killed by a lightning strike. And of course, the devastation to the family is just hard to conceive. But from that, her whole life turned around, and you can learn more about this transformation if you take a look at her book called Messages of Hope. And there's also a film by that same name, which is very good, very well done. But she offers a lot of material on her website, and also a rich collection of information on YouTube in her channel. The next one I'd like to introduce is Foster and Kimberly Gamble. Their website is thriveon.com. And I just happened to come across this, and I was just so delighted that I did, because it opened up a whole new dimension to me of an opportunity to really learn what's happening in the world by people who spend their whole days, their whole weeks, their whole lives researching what's happening in the world, and particularly in the United States. And they've dedicated their lives to helping us discover what it would take to make it possible for everyone on this planet to thrive. And thus the name of their website, Thrive On. They have a couple of documentaries on the website that I really encourage you to watch. If you haven't seen them, they're just amazing, and they're beautifully done. Thrive 1 and Thrive 2. Thrive 1 is What on Earth Will It Take? So far, over 90 million people have viewed this documentary. It's done in 27 languages, and it's known throughout the world. And they also have introduced recently Thrive 2. The title is This Is What It Takes. It's available to watch free now. However, it's not always going to be free, because they're trying to make up the money that they had to spend to film this and create it. But it's extremely worthwhile watching. And I think that you'll fall in love with this website and with the work of Foster and Kimberly. The third one I'd like to introduce this evening is Dr. Gary Schwartz. Dr. Gary Schwartz is a psychologist and works as a professor, a senior professor at the University of Arizona at the Laboratory for Advancements in Consciousness and Health. and is director of the Soul Phone Project. That's SOUL, Phone Project. I don't know how many of you have heard of the Soul Phone, but it was a nice surprise for me to stumble across it a few years ago. And I've tried to keep up with them and learn more about it as the time has gone on. Dr. Schwartz follows in the footsteps of other scientists and inventors that have worked on this project for over 100 years. People like Alexander Graham Bell, Thomas Edison, and Marconi all were making giant efforts at their time trying to invent what they would probably call a phone for the dead, a phone call away. But of course, nowadays we have modern technology, and that gives Dr. Schwartz a big boost in terms of his ability to research this. And he's designed this device that has scientifically demonstrated that life continues after the death of the body, and has repeatedly established communication links with what he calls post-material persons. Those are so-called deceased persons to us. He anticipates that in the not too distant future, a device similar to the Soul Phone, or similar to the smartphone, he dubbed the Soul Phone, is something that everyone will have, and that it'll be a very easy event to contact those departed loved ones and for them to contact us. One of the things I'd like to do is to just stop for a moment and ask you to bear with me and participate maybe in a little adventure going back to 1904. If you would, just try to take your mind back to that time in kind of a meditative state and think about being somewhere. It doesn't have to be in this country, but anywhere you'd like to be in 1904. And think about what you're seeing and experiencing in the world at that time. Think about what seems to be missing there that you're used to experiencing in the current time. Things are missing like indoor plumbing, like television, internet, telephones are yet to be established. There's a lot of things missing back then. And think of yourself, if someone were to tell you there's this great invention underfoot, and we know people who are actually working on devices that can let you fly, let you leave the earth in flight. Think about what you would do with that information. Would you just shrug it off, or would you think, my goodness, fly? We'll actually be able to fly. We'll actually be able to go to other countries or to the other side of our own country in just a few minutes. Think about how you would react to that. Because of course, nobody, hardly anybody, knew anything about flight or the whole idea that was underfoot by these inventors to make this industry possible. And do you know that today, every single second, you can count it out, every second, somewhere in the world, an aircraft is landing or taking off. Would you have been able to imagine that in 1904? I know I sure wouldn't have been able to, and I probably would have just shrugged off if anybody said that that was happening. Well, bring yourself back to the present now and think about this thing called a soul phone that Dr. Schwartz is inventing.
Okay.
He actually has a prototype, and he's actually tested it over and over and over again, and reliably has demonstrated that life does continue after physical death. So think about that a moment and project into the future. What's it going to be like 20 or 50 or 100 years from now when soul phones are actually in everybody's hands? It'll change the world dramatically, just like air flight changed our world 100 years ago on Kitty Hawk by the Wright brothers. Well, remember Dr. Gary Schwartz and think about the soul phone. And if you'd like to make contributions, he'd be happy to accept those because he's in desperate need of money to help continue the research. But I hope that you find this exciting and that you enjoy looking up more information about this on his website. It's drgaryschwartz.com.
Some of the points of light, wearing our sunglasses here to dim down the brightness level. Let's see. The nonviolent communication practice, the concepts and principles that Marshall Rosenberg developed in the 60s is something I've been practicing for a little over 10 years. Concepts are to learn to hear our own deeper needs of those of others within ourselves and others through the emphasis of a deep listening to ourselves and with others. The consciousness the MVC brings about helps to discover the depth of our own compassion, the language skills that we develop, the feelings and needs, the pure observation, making requests, reveals the awareness that all human beings are only trying to honor universal human values or needs. Needs are universal. For example, trust, understanding, compassionate listening, honestly expressing, sustenance, sustainability, or to name a few. And we're trying to do this every minute and every day. MVC is a skill set that we can develop. It's also a spiritual practice that helps us see the common humanity using our power in a way that honors everyone's needs and with these concrete set of skills that we develop over time. And they create life-serving families and communities. The form is rather simple and yet very powerfully and transformative. And another, one of my favorite books is The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. It's a way to, these four agreements is reveal the source of self-limiting beliefs that we robs ourselves of our joy and creates needless suffering based on ancient Toltec wisdom. The four agreements offer a powerful code of conduct that rapidly transforms our lives to a new experience of freedom and true happiness and love. The four agreements are, first one being, be impeccable with your word. not always easy to do, but going back to that goal. Don't take anything personally. And just noticing that and just letting it pass. And don't make assumptions, ask clarifying questions. And then always do your best. When we're sick, we're not going to be our best, but always try. And then my favorite topic is about food. And how food, the minor dosage of processed foods, can create ailments and dysbiosis and chaos in the body. Or we can move towards whole foods without ingredients labels. The body understands. There's a lot of physicians and naturopath and health experts that substantiate scientifically to avoid as much as possible SOFAs, which is trying to avoid or eliminate processed salt, processed oil, processed fat, processed alcohol, processed sugar. Yeah, with that, I am complete. I would like to pass this on to Charles. Would you be willing to share next, Charles?
Thank you very much, Sam. And as always, very interesting and well presented. In fact, I think we'll tie together on my second point of light. My first point of light is Penny Kelly, and it's about natural health and more, actually. Penny is an author, teacher, speaker, publisher, personal and spiritual consultant, and naturopathic physician. While she was an engineer at Chrysler, she experienced a full spontaneous awakening, a Kundalini experience that completely changed her life. She returned to school to study brain consciousness, perception, cognition, intelligence, and intuition. For 25 years, Penny has operated the Lily Hill Farm and Learning Center. Today, she travels, lectures, and teaches a variety of classes and workshops, including developing the gift of intuition, organic gardening, getting well again naturally. She maintains a large consulting practice, writes books and poetry, raises chickens, beef cows, and grows organic vegetables and fruits. She lives naturally and has a close connection with Mother Earth. Penny has written over a dozen books. I am focusing on the book, Getting Well Again Naturally, From the Soil to the Stomach, for a natural recovery from cataract sight degradation that I'm presently experiencing. And I was all set had actually scheduled LASIK surgery a couple of weeks ago. And then that following 2 days later, Janice and I went to West Virginia and heard Penny speak. And I bought the book, Getting Well Again Naturally, From the Soil to the Stomach. And she had a nice section on a naturopathic way of eliminating the cataracts or getting rid of the cataract degradation. So the next Monday, I canceled all my surgeries. They had 2 surgeries with follow-ups and all that. And I thought, no, I'm going to go the naturopath. I go to a naturopath doctor, or online at least, and then also an acupuncturist. And they both told me that they didn't think they could do much good with working on cataracts after they had already been developed. And I don't see any holdback on Penny's routine protocol as called out in this really wonderful book, Getting Well Again Naturally, From Soil to Stomach. I love that, from soil to stomach. So anyway, she's a real point of light, and she's a point of light for me. The next 2 points of light focus on water, and especially drinking water. My go-to for as an authority on water is Dr. Tim McKnight. Besides being a medical doctor, he has a bachelor's degree, a master's degree in nutrition, and has completed all of the PhD work except the thesis for a PhD in nutrition. So he's a real interesting, provides very interesting approaches with a combination of the medical field and nutrition. He wrote that we have built-in mechanisms to fight diseases and to maintain our health, but we need to support ourselves in healing the process by eating natural foods and by drinking the right type of water. He goes on to say that everything that is happening in our body is a biochemical reaction. The solvent in our bodies is water. My points of light on water point both locally and worldwide. Now, the first point of light is about Scott Harrison and Charity Water. And this points to ending global water crisis. Scott Harrison spent 2 years on a hospital ship as a volunteer photographer, and therefore he saw firsthand all the medical diseases and disformities that the people were experiencing worldwide, and that their ship doctors were trying to help people with. He realized that the cause of most of this was polluted water. So he came back to New York, and New York City, as a matter of fact, with a mission of creating Charity Water in 2006. Charity Water's ambitious goal is to end the global water crisis with bringing clean, healthy water to remote parts of the world. There are 663 million people who do not have access to clean, healthy water. To date, Clarity Water has funded over 78,000 projects for over 13 million people who will be served upon completion of the projects, the past and present, in 29 countries. Charity Water is funded totally by donations. Private contributors pay the administrative fees and travel fees. So he wrote a book about his experiences on the ship and how that led him to form Charity Water and a little bit of the history of Charity Water in his book, Thirst, A Story of Redemption, Compassion, and a Mission to Bring Clean Water to the World. The book is available on Amazon, and in the links that will be supplied is a link to that book. A more local point of light on water is the Delaware Riverkeeper Network. It's for preserving the drinking water and habitat. The Delaware River is the last of the free-flowing rivers in the East. It flows 330 miles through 4 states. More than 17 million people rely on the Delaware River for drinking water. Many species of fish, aquatic life, birds, and other wildlife are also dependent upon the river. The Delaware River Keeper Network was established in 1998 as a nonprofit organization. It takes a strong stance on region and local issues that threaten the river's water quality and ecosystems. The Riverkeeper Network continually defends and manages the river's resources from not being at risk from sprawling developments. The developments, of course, bring about more demands on the water and bring about more discharges of water, discharges into the river that could be dangerous. And sort of in summary, the Delaware River Network is a small group of people dedicating their time and caring for a very large number of people's and wildlife's quality of life. And I think that's so remarkable. This is not a government organization. It's a nonprofit group dedicating its time and resources to helping deliver good, clean drinking water. My next point of light is the Virginia Bluebird Society, saving the eastern bluebirds. The eastern bluebird, a beautiful songbird, once thrived throughout Virginia. By the 1970s, its population had diminished as much as 90%, moving dangerously towards extinction. The staggering decline resulted in resulted from an insufficient natural nesting cavities. And I say cavities because the bluebirds made their nests in holes that woodpeckers pecked in trees, and to get the worms and insects thereafter, and then they left them vacant. And that's where the bluebirds then went to lay their nests, lay their eggs, care for their eggs, and care for the babies until they're ready to fledge. So now the Virginia Bluebird Society has created the mission of creating bluebird nesting house trails. So what they're doing is they're creating trails, especially in parks and places like that, with man-made wooden nesting houses. And the nesting houses then provide an alternative place then for the bluebirds to make their nests, lay their eggs, take their eggs to hatching, and then care for the baby bluebirds until they're ready to fledge. Once they fledge, then they go out into wildlife and never return to the nesting house. Oh, I shouldn't say never, because there are usually about maybe up to 3 cycles of nesting and hatchings a summer, and sometimes the young baby bluebirds who have finally fledged will actually help the mother bring back food for the next generation of babies. So by 2020, the Bluebird Society volunteers had 4,752 nesting boxes along 431 trails in 42 counties in Virginia. And I've been involved with the installation and monitoring of 10 nesting houses on the development where we live. And then I also have been very involved with the 5 nesting houses that we have on the 5 acres at Unity of Fairfax. And the nesting houses at Unity of Fairfax have also been, had not only helped the bluebirds, but have been used, the monitoring of them has been used as Sunday school projects to involve the young people in the awareness and getting closer to nature and the bluebirds. So my next point of light is, here I go technical, is Elon Musk and Tesla. All about non-fossil fuel transportation and solar energy. Since the company's inception in 2003, Tesla's mission has been to accelerate the world's transition to sustainable energy. The transition shifts the world's needs to environmentally friendly energy sources. The shift reduces the nation's dependence on fossil fuels, reducing the associated conflicts that arise with that dependency worldwide. Fossil fuels are terrible for not only the environment, but also causes irreversible damage and also for our health. Tesla designs and manufactures electric cars, battery energy storage systems, and solar panels, including solar roof panels. And we have a couple houses where we live that have in our development that have the solar panels. The solar panel and battery storage developments are part of an elaborate plan to reshape the power grid, which I think is so important. These products enable increased independent electrical power reliability derived from the universe. Elon Musk leads all of the product development, design, engineering, and global manufacturing of the company's electric vehicle, battery systems, and solar energy. So I really have my hats off to Tesla, what they're doing to get us further into energy independence and away from fossil fuels. My last point of light is composting, locally and worldwide. Composting is giving back to Mother Earth what she has given to us. Composting at home and in cities restores Mother Earth's soil and keeps air cleaner. Composting can divert as much as 30% of the or more of the household waste that typically goes to landfills. Instead, the composting transitions that waste into fertilizers. In the landfill, organic matter creates harmful methane gases that increases global warming and climate change. San Francisco is interesting. They have been diverting more than 80% of their waste from landfills through recycling and composting. More than 90,000 metric tons of carbon emissions are avoided annually in San Francisco, and that's equivalent to the annual greenhouse gas emission of 20,000 passenger vehicles. Maggots are especially efficient for processing food waste. Maggots are especially can process food waste in a very short period of time. Unity of Fairfax has 2 compost cylinders that are full of maggots, and what they process, they're processing donated food waste that we bring in quite a bit. Primarily being vegetarians, we have a lot of vegetable skins and waste and that type of thing, and it's all brought to Unity Fairfax to feed the maggots. I get a lot of laughs from Reverend Russ about, why are you here? I'm here to feed the maggots. But the maggots are a very efficient way of processing and disinfecting and turning the waste into a very high protein fertilizer. The fertilizer that we produce at Unity of Fairfax with the magnets is used by the Earth Care team with the plantings of all the plantings that they do on our 5 acres. So that covers some points of light that I wanted to share, and I hope that maybe some of them would be of interest to you, and hope the maggots weren't too disgusting. Thank you. And Janice?
I'm going to take just a minute or so to celebrate a point of light that happens to be present in this meeting right now. And that is my husband, Charles Coyle. And he didn't say it, but he bought the maggots for the composters. And as far as no landfill and stuff, Charles will bend over backwards, do a lot, take a credible amount of effort to keep even a small thing from a landfill. That's how dedicated he is to Mother Earth. And he's become a self-taught expert in solar energy. He's a long time worked on things like solar power and learned about it and things like that. He brought in back into the Bluebird saving into Unity, taught the children. They made a video of him. They were very inspired. And just so much, and into natural healing and food and all that. And then there's what he does for us at the New Earth Visioning Project, selflessly, completely doing the technical part. So I'm going to call my husband one of the points of light here today, as we all are. But I just wanted to give him some recognition because he does so much that we don't even know about. You guys don't even know about. Okay, I'm going to say a little.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to say a little bit more about Charles's point of light, Penny Kelly. And she's also, as in addition to what Charles has said, she is a futurist and has had many visions of the coming world that we will be going into, the new earth, and from a number of sources. She's a psychic and so forth. She teaches and writes on many subjects, including consciousness, ascension, world history, galactic history, connecting with nature, as Charles said, and so much more. Her YouTube channel has literally hundreds of her videos. But what I want to talk about is she has a book coming out in the fall, maybe next month, hopefully. The title will be The Revival, which in her words is about the new earth we must create and the new humans we must become. Does that sound familiar? We've been all about that, haven't we? I'll be closely following her, and we'll be announcing to you guys when her book comes out. And she's also working on other resources that will appear on her website, pennykelly.com. To quote her on this exciting development, she says, quote, "To support the work of creating a new earth, we are working on an online community platform that will have a marketplace and an educational area. There will be classes and groups for cradle to grave learning, especially things we need to know in a new earth situation." We are starting with the community platform, and we'll add the market and school pieces as we go along. So if you're interested in her newsletters and keeping up to date with her very ambitious projects that will be of benefit to us, especially this group, go to her website and sign up for her updates. She really is amazing. We've met her twice, and she's just incredible. My next point of light is Dr. Zach Bush. And his mission, quote, "The knowledge base resting below," meaning his website, "is a library of insights I've hunted and gathered about the human experience over the years, with the intention for all of us to find synergy in knowledge, passion, and purpose to elevate the trajectory of humankind." How? By applying the rigor of science, strength of humanity, and the intelligence of nature to transform our health and our world. So he's another phenomenal point of light. He's a triple board certified physician, internationally recognized educator on the intersection of the microbiome, human health and disease, and our food production systems. His work is in giving new insights into root cause problems and their solutions in the sectors of big farming, big pharma, and Western medicine at large. His work in for-profit and profit arenas is creating avenues of collaborative action for all stakeholders in our global community and for a regenerative future of health for the planet and our children. He's involved in so many projects. It's just incredible. And in some of the interviews I've seen of him, he is so eloquent and spiritually awakened also. He's incredible. He's founded a number of organizations. There's the Seraphic Group, which are products to restore our planet's natural cycles, and the natural cycles also of human health, ecology, energy, and community. He founded the Farmers Footprint, which are a coalition of farmers, educators, doctors, scientists, and business leaders aiming to expose the human and environmental impacts of chemical farming and offer a path forward through regenerative agricultural practices. He's very into restoring the nutrients and the health of our land, of our soil. His website and the Seraphic Group and the Farmers Footprint and his own website, will send you all this, includes so many resources It includes a community forum, videos, and educational materials. And you might go onto YouTube and just Google and just search his name. He's got his own channel, but you get more videos if you just put in Zach Bush in the search item on YouTube. You're going to get 100 of them, whereas there are only like 50 on his channel. He's obviously not a techie or whatever. He's busy with these other things. So, and he talks about so many things. There are incredible interviews with him. I just love watching him. He's so eloquent with it too. He's amazing. He's an amazing point of light, really is. My next one is the New Earth Project. That sounds like ours, doesn't it? I didn't know that this existed when I named our group name here. But this is an amazing site, the newearthproject.org. It's an international resource for anything New Earth. It requires a registration to enter and to use it really fully. Their mission, the New Earth Project, is an open platform to unite humanity in ushering in a new era of planetary well-being, peace, and prosperity. The project proceeds from the insight that the foundation for delivering this grand vision must be the condition of absolute freedom and sovereign creative expression for all. And this website has a number of sections that can be accessed separately or within the website. And each one of them has many resources. And I'm just going to point out just a couple of the main like sub websites, you could call it almost. The first one is the New Earth University. And their mission is to gather, embody, and share knowledge in service of human and planetary well-being and sovereign creative self-expression. And they have courses. Some are free, some you pay just a little bit, in natural law, health and wellness, science and design innovation, consciousness and spirituality, the living arts, and socioeconomics and spirituality. The other one, two more I'm going to mention. The other one is called the New Earth Nation. And their mission is to provide the support to build strong, financially independent sovereign nations and to form a fellowship of sovereign nations and micronations founded in recognition of the primacy of consciousness, the unity of all life, and the undeniability of the individual sovereign condition. And what they offer here is opportunity to join a sovereign nation. There are lots of these little micro nations occurring around the world right now. And these are groups of people. They could be small or a little bit, kind of largish. They decided they don't want to be free. They don't want to have all these rules and regulations. They don't want to contribute to all the stuff out there they don't like. So they're creating their own nations. There's one in Missouri that's one of the largest ones in the world. Anyway, this site will, the New Earth Nation will give you where these micronations are, in case you want to join one. And the other thing they offer is education on how to establish a sovereign nation. And they even offer an instructive boot camp on this. Then they have a New Earth community, which is a chat group. You can go on there, and it's a social networking portal. Final thing I'm going to mention, they've got some other things, but they've got the New Earth TV. And that's an evolving channel. It just started a few months ago. It's evolving. They do have some videos on there, video conversations, interviews, and a number of blog post articles. Another one is, another point of light is the Humanitad Foundation. Their mission is dedicated to inspiring tolerance and goodwill between people of all nations and faiths. They are committed to ushering in a new era of truth, transparency, and right-mindedness, while inspiring growth in the spiritual framework within which we function as a species. Humanitad is interesting because they've been in existence for a while. And they have quite an impressive history of peace negotiations between groups, nations, and communities around the world. And the Humanitarian Foundation also offers insights on historical activities around the world and how to take that situation and establish peace with it. They go back in history. How could we have done that? So it's a good thing if you're interested in that kind of thing to look up that one. Here's one that's really cool, I think. And when we, as many of these futurists talk about the form that our culture will take, and many of these futurists believe that, the psychics particularly, in the new earth, we won't have a central government. What we'll have is communities that are self-sustaining and offer to the whole, the rest of the earth or whatever, their own skills. They're people are like-minded, people have interests. They might be technological, they might be something else. And they form these groups, and in their groups, they do whatever their gifts are and offer it to the other groups or to the world. I know in reading about the Pleiades and other cultures, this is how they do it. So the Foundation for Intentional Community is all about this. Foundation has been going on since the late 70s and the hippie movement. And they experimented with this. And since then, they've refined this whole thing about how we manage an intentional community, how we get along with each other, how we operate in a successful, mutually supportive way. The organization and their site, www.ic.org, International Intentional Community, has an annual directory you can buy. And this is a directory of all the intentional communities around the world. And that book is like an inch and 3/4 thick. So this just tells you how many of these exist around the world. This is definitely a new earth development. And another name for them is eco villages. And the site has all kinds of testimonials. They talk about specific eco villages or intentional communities. One eco village person wrote this, quote, "People have been searching for inner peace and happiness since time immemorial. It seems that the more technologically sophisticated we become, the more happiness eludes us. Forging ahead with a new vision for how we can responsibly walk in balance with natural law, idealistic, spiritually focused eco-villages has been pioneering new frontiers for decades. And they're getting more and more wise about this. And just to go on that site will give you an upliftment for sure. You can read about how they're doing this. The website also has incredible amount of resources. How to establish and maintain a harmonious community. They offer classes, they offer online classes, dozens of them. They also have books they recommend, a lot of books, and they're really interesting books. You just go and look at, you're going to read them all, you know, kind of thing. Just a few that I thought that appealed to me. I haven't read them, but Eco Village, one of them, Eco Village, 1001 Ways to Heal the Planet. The other one, The Spirit of Dialogue, Lessons in Transforming Conflict. And that's broad conflict and one-on-one conflict. This one has a nice title, Many Voices, One Song, Shared Power with Sociocracy. I didn't know what that meant, so I looked it up, and they have a whole thing about it, which is very interesting. It's a coming trend, much like governmental harmony, of some of the best Aboriginal civilizations, also called dynamic governance. It is a system of governance which seeks to create psychologically safe environments and productive organizations. It is distinguished by the use of consent rather than majority voting, in discussion and decision-making by people who have a shared objective or work process. So, as I've said before, there are many futurists and visionaries who see the future and tune into higher dimensional civilizations, talk about people gathering together in communities just like this. And there are hundreds, thousands of these communities in the world right now. So we are getting in, I believe, to some of the practices that will be in the new earth. And as some of these visionaries have said, and who have studied the things off planet that are in a higher dimension than we are, we will do it as human beings, but we will do it uniquely, as all of us are unique anyway. So that's going to be exciting. And I'm really excited about this community, this connection, this communities thing. It's just something that we're doing. It's not being reported. We don't know about it, but now we do here, right? We know that this is happening and we can prove it. I mean, these people are making, there's testimonials and all of this. And this is worldwide in every country. Hundreds and hundreds of these in the United States. Another point of light, check it out. It'll lift you up, seriously. Another one that's going to lift you up, especially for you guys into tools and things and all that kind of tinkering and stuff, is a site called Off Grid World. Right? It's a fun website, offgridworld.com. It's a huge resource for sustainable living techniques that promote natural health, environmental healing, and enhancement. Creating one's own off-grid energy through solar and wind technology and other developments like healthy food production and storage, efficient gardening, survival amid almost anything. That's their words. They have fun words, the way they express things too. And freedom from financial independence, governmental codes, and experiencing the physical and spiritual values of living and working in nature, and so much more. They also include listings of semi and total off-grid communities one could join around the US and around the world. They're very much into collaborating with nature, healing the environment, and the benefits of a more natural lifestyle. One of the things I saw in the group and the people shown in the articles is how happy they are and how happy they write. One of the things another thing I saw is if you want to wash in happy vibes, go to this site and read some of the articles. I mean, seriously, they're humorous, they're fun. The people who wrote them and talk about it are obviously very happy. One article, for example, has the title, How to Build a Raised Garden or Other Useful Structures by Using Almost Anything. You guys might like that one. They're also into survival if the food supply goes limp. Their expression goes limp. That's the kind of language they use. For the women, you might find out how to have a kitchen garden, how to cook in unique ways, using almost anything. They use that term a lot. And how to find yummy, nourishing, and natural offerings while walking in the woods. I'm going to read that article. That sounds like fun. My next one is the Highlights Foundation. I have dozens and dozens of points of light I could mention to you, and these are just a few. I think it might be a good idea. There's so much for us to bring in some points of light in every meeting we have. Wouldn't that be good? It'd keep people up. Yeah, okay, good, people. Okay, the Highlights Foundation, their mission, to positively impact children by amplifying the voices of storytellers who inform, educate, and inspire children to become their best selves. We do not take lightly what it means to create engaging, authentic stories for children and youth. But we believe that you, as storytellers, have profound impacts on the lives of children. This matters a great deal to us as an organization, and most importantly, to our world. So they're a center that brings the foundation. It's really a retreat center that brings the authors of children and teenagers books, and an effort to help bring up the quality of these books and influence the children to be their best selves, to be Earth-like. They don't say that, but that's really what they're thinking. The foundation began like 35 years ago by a man who loved to read since childhood. I've met him a number of times. I've been there. He wanted to create a place where writers could come and be inspired by the nature around, and he cared for it in a way that will, and care for it in a way that will bring out the creative spirit in the writers, and have nature and the deer that walk around to be an inspiration. They offer workshops and speakers to help inspire the writing of uplifting books for children. They also offer a space for writers of other genres too, to come there, be in their own little log cabin, and just write. I've been there maybe 4 or 5 times now, and I've never been in the kind of flow of writing ever, unless I'm there. It's been an incredibly creative atmosphere for me. And one time when I was there were several of us writers. We were hanging out after we went to eat our meal. They have a central place where you come from your cabin, and at certain times you go in for a meal. And they wanted to make it that way where the writers just write. They don't have to worry about anything. They don't have to be cleaning their place, and they don't cooking food, anything. They offer it to us. And anyway, several of us were standing around and asking the chief chef there that handled all the food is so wonderful. How do you do this? And this is what she said. She said, it's not so much that the food tastiness and all that is. What we do is we meditate before we start cooking. And in our meditation, we imagine you all being inspired by nature here. And we imagine you putting out your gifts to uplift the world. That's what she said. And I once walked by the window and I saw them doing it. And I can't help but think and really believe that they are doing something really wonderful there. And I know that I have been in a flow like never before in that place. What an honor to eat their food, really. And so this place is incredible point of light. And the vision of the gentleman, I've met him a couple of times, to offer this is just such a gift, not only to us who've been there, but to the world. And so that's my last one. And I love the place. I'm going back in October, and we'll see what happens, see what will come out of it. Okay, does anyone else want to offer any point of light that they have in mind? Go ahead, Ted.
Yeah, Janice, you're going to be hard to follow. You had some really good stuff.
We all do.
Yep. Yeah, I kind of have one. There was probably more, but I didn't know how much time we would have, getting through everybody and everything. But I have one. It's a local thing because, sometimes you know what's going on in the world everywhere else, but you don't know what's going on in your own backyard. So I wanted to look and see what I could find locally here. And I found one organization that's called HEAL. And it's comprised of a group of Colgan High School here in Manassas sophomores. And they have a real diverse group. They have officers, and they're into everything from clean water, clean air, soil management, conservation, testing and stuff. And can I do a quick screen share? I'm still learning this thing. I had it working earlier, but anyway, yeah, they're sophomore school students, and they do a multitude of stuff. They have local business people and stuff that assist them from different organizations, and they make water sampling kits and translate them into different languages and send them to different countries like Afghanistan and stuff. And they're doing a lot of stuff. I wish I could do the screen share, but I'm gonna have to play with that some more. But they're a really inspiring group of young individuals, and with the way schools are now and stuff, I'm just glad to see groups like them are around, and they're making a difference, and they're gonna have an impact on the future, I'm sure. It's called HEAL, and it stands for, let me look at this real quick. It stands for Healthy Environments Advanced Light. And I wish I could get the screen share working. But anyway, I mean, that's my point of light. I think the youth coming up and stuff doing this kind of stuff is a good inspiration. So I was going to get into this more, but I wish my screen share, I got to figure that out. I'm sorry.
Well, we're going to be doing points of light. We're thinking about maybe doing a little segment every time we meet. So you'll get another chance. Okay. Okay. Anybody else?
Yeah,
Okay.
thanks for doing all this. This has been really good. What I've enjoyed during COVID a lot is the Findhorn Foundation, and they are an eco village that's been around for a very long time. So they have a program coming up. They're starting to offer more educational programs. I just signed up for one. Is Findhorn Co-Creation with the Intelligence of Nature on the 16th of this month. In our time zone, it's 2 to 3:30. And then been enjoying, and we always have for many years, Edgar Cayce Association. And their primary mission is global manifestation of oneness and the love of God and all people. So those are the two that I have found really sustaining during this time, in addition to all the other more typical things I do.
Oh, those are good.
Yeah.
That's a good. What's the name of that Eco Village again?
Well, it's the Findhorn Foundation, F-I-N.
Findhorn, yes.
H-O-R-N.
Mm-hmm.
And findhorn.org. And they recently had a fire. I've been going on walks with them in nature. Just happened to sign up through the Facebook, a Facebook group, and it was Facebook Live, and it's so much fun to be in Scotland and enjoy nature. And I got to be so curious that I ended up buying all their books and reading about how, they have, are meditated together with 3 people and had their own little experiment. And then it became, 50 years of continuous kind of re-education of others. So I've enjoyed it. And they had a fire recently, so it's good to try to support them. Their community center and another really important building, I think probably where they do food service and such, was pretty devastating.
Mm-hmm.
So thanks for sharing with all of this. It's been very good.
Well, I'm going to contact you, Jane. We're doing one of our meetings in next month. The first one next month is going to be about connecting with nature. So I know you're into that, so I'd love to have you.
I've been studying a little bit. I'm trying.
A little bit. You're okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Anybody else? Robin.
I'm going to just be brief, but the Ubuntu Party by Michael Tellinger. Michael Tellinger is a South African author, politician, explorer, and founder of the Ubuntu Party, which supports the supply of free resources across society. And let me just read you what this actually means. Ubuntu is an African expression of ancient wisdom, which is echoed by all ancient civilization. It simply means unity within community, where everyone contributes their natural talents or skills for the greater benefit of all. Ubuntu Planet is focused on creating the first one small town to lead by example and serve as a model for all other towns anywhere in the world. The objectives are very simple, and he lays it out on his website, and he's looking for donations, but I think he's got a great idea. I don't know if you've heard of it or familiar with it, but you can find more information on Ubuntu on michaeltellinger.com. It's called the Ubuntu Liberation Movement.
Anybody else? Friends, parents, children? Anybody else?
I'd just like to say this has just been a super uplifting, not only the session itself, but even the process of gathering the information and thinking about the points of light. And I just really appreciate everyone's contribution. It's just been so enlightening and uplifting. I just really appreciate being part of this group of people. Thank you. Thank you so much.
We're recording this and we will put it on YouTube and everything. There will be this is a Labor Day holiday, and a lot of people couldn't be here, so we don't want to deprive them of all this light. So we will pass this on, and if you guys want to pass it on too, to uplift somebody and cheer them up about what's going on. We're not hearing about any of this on any media I know of, other than the internet, and you got to know where to look of what's going on there, all the great things. And we have only touched the teeniest tip of the iceberg. I have dozens, and those of you also have dozens and dozens and dozens of others we could have brought. And people out there doing incredible things. And, we can't forget about the fact that we're all light workers. And sometimes the greatest gift is our own evolution and our own love. And what we put out there from our vibrations, from our hearts. It's the humblest people that in so many ways are doing the greatest things to uplift everybody. And some of them won't ever be known, but they're out there. And they give life and effort. The cooks at the highlights, so many people, the janitors there, whatever they're doing. But the deer that come up, and to everybody's window, the deer come up. It's almost like they know, and the people connecting with nature. We're going to have a thing about connecting with nature. And one other thing I'd like to announce. This is you, Sam. Okay. And maybe you can talk a little bit about it. But Sam is such an incredible resource for the use of food and nutrition for healing. He's dedicated to this. It's his passion. Charles and I have known him for a long time. He's a dear friend. And he's being very modest. He leads nonviolent communication. He conducts a detox group and has for a long time. And he has his own wonderful healing story using some of the things that he has agreed to come back and do a presentation on. That's going to be a treat, yes? And about his own journey and how he came to it, and some of the incredible things he knows about the magic of food, the right food. And Sam, you want to say anything else? What you're going to offer?
I think that's pretty much it, rather than just jumping into the story. So I'll save it for later. Thank you.
Okay, okay. Save the best for later. And I'm thinking, again, Sam hasn't heard this, so this I'm going to throw it out there. I think it would be a great time for you to do this on our meeting we're not going to have a second meeting in November, but the first meeting in November. You might be available then. The reason being is because that's the intro into the naughty eating binging of the holiday season.
Right. Okay.
We need somebody, we need a Sam Lee to save us. You know? and so he's agreed to do this. And I'm really happy about it because he's got so much to offer in this whole field. And he offers it to a lot of people. It's our turn. Okay. Okay. It's our turn now. Okay, so any other comments? Family members, friends who doing all kinds of good things? Yeah. Well, just before we go, let's sit here and do a little meditation. And I'll lead you. Okay. And this is going to be about you, us, you. So just get quiet, close your eyes. Think of what you love, what interest you have. What do you go to make yourself happy? What do you like? What do you talk about? What good kind of thing do you talk about to yourself? Think about the light. What do you love? Who do you love? Think about and feel right now the light that comes from you through all of that. See it as powerful, radiant, reaching everyone you see, you think about. And see others be uplifted by that light. Someone you just smiled at recently. Someone you opened the door for. A flower, a tree that you appreciated. In every moment of every day, despite whatever else is going on with us, we radiate something from our hearts. We are always points of light because we are light. Let's just think on those things for a couple of minutes. Feel it. Ding, ding. I don't have my bell tonight. Thank you guys so much for such a fun evening. Next time we meet, we're going to have a guest from England, and that will be Nusra Sahin. She's a spiritual teacher who has a book you can look on our website and about multidimensional consciousness and the new earth. And what she teaches is how to contact our multidimensional self through our consciousness and go there in order to create new earth, and the power we have by going into the higher dimensions of ourselves to create. And she's working on creating the new earth herself. That's what she's teaching. That's why she started teaching. She has many years of development of her skills. She's had many amazing psychic and other dimensional experiences in her life. And she's a beautiful, sensitive, gentle creature. And I think you'll really like her. And for those of you who have read or partly read even her book, let me know as soon as you can. Send me a note about any questions you would like to ask her. If she was sitting in the living room with you, what questions would you ask her? I'm going to be later this week recording our interview together, and that's what will be recorded and put on, and that's what we will see at our meeting. She will try to be there a little bit toward the end, maybe not. But in the meantime, she has asked me to ask you what your questions would be, and she'd like them as soon as she can get them. She is meditating on our group. She's going to put 3 days into meditating on our group to get guidance on what would benefit us particularly. And so she's being very generous. She's a very busy woman that has a full-time job and does this on the side. So to take that time to meditate specifically for us is a real gift. So anyway, let me know if you have any questions and send me your questions. So I'll ask her when we record the interview. Okay? Okay. That should be an interesting meeting. Unique. Okay, so thank you again. So much love. Thank you. Anybody else want to say anything before we go?
No.
This was awesome. I feel very encouraged, and I can't wait to check out all the stuff that you're going to share with the group, especially all the stuff about the eco communities and all that. I feel like I want to run off and join a commune right now. I'm ready. I'm so ready.
Yeah. Thanks for coming, everyone.